Heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexuals unless he or she disclose otherwise. Now, that heteronormal thinking, what that is the assumption that most people in this world are male or female. And most people in this world get married and have children. Actually, that is what most people think. You can't dismantle that thinking because that's the way most people think. Now, do other people think other ways? Absolutely. But you cannot dismantle that thinking because that's how most people think. Number 4, we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended family or villages. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. You know, where you have a mom and a dad. Dad goes to work. Mom stays home and raises her kids. They want to disrupt that structure. And again, please don't take anything that I'm saying for granted. I walk the walk, okay? So I can talk the talk, or is it the other way around? I'm telling you the truth. BlackLivesMatter.org, go to the About. And that's what's on there. Now, I will say these people are insane. I don't want anything to do with this organization if they're going to think that way. It's divisiveness. It's finger pointing. It's not only is it not all inclusive, it's us first and you last, us over you. We are going to impose our thoughts upon you. That's what it's all about. That's what this website's all about. Now, does that mean Black Lives don't matter? Of course not. But it means the organization that put forth this are a bunch of anarchists. That's what it means. And it's just, that's the divisiveness that I'm talking about. Where did they get all the money to do this? This is an expensive website. I don't know where they got the money. Who would think that this is a good idea? Do a lot of people think this is a good idea? I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here. I bet 10 people listening to this podcast think that that is a good idea. I would think that maybe nobody listening to this podcast thinks that those are good ideas. But that's what these folks stand for. And again, it's from their website. They're not hiding it, folks. This is on their website, okay? If we treat one another with respect, that's how we get results. I'll give you another story that happened to me. Actually, it happened to my son some time ago and happened to my dear wife yesterday. I'm a big fan of carne asada. You get yourself a nice hot fire, throw in some mesquite, take some nice thin skirt steak, marinate it for a few hours, throw that thing on a fire, drink it with a nice Mendoza Malbec, and friends, it is heaven. And we found a Mexican tienda in the area that sells carne asada. Now, carne asada, for those of you who don't know, is it's not a great cut of meat. It's an okay cut of meat, but it's not great. It's not sirloin. It's not ribeye, but it's not chuck either, okay? It's an okay cut of meat. You expect to pay $7-8 a pound for this stuff. We went there one time, and that's what we paid, about $7-8 a pound. The next time we went there, we called, asked the price, they gave it to us, so we bought a bunch of it. The next time we went there, the price was $12 a pound. I told my wife, why was it so much? She says, I don't know, I guess the price just went up. Okay, well, maybe the price just went up. Okay. We're having a party tonight. We're having carne asada. So my wife called the Mexican store. Hey, what's your price on so many pounds of carne asada? Well, we don't know. What do you mean we don't know? Well, because we don't get it until Thursday and we don't know what we're going to have to pay for it. So we mark it up so much. Okay, sounds good. I'll call you back on Thursday. So she calls back on Thursday. Hey, what's the price of so many pounds of carne asada? I said, well, we don't know. And my wife says, well, did you get it in? She says, yes. Well, when will you know? And the lady said, well, when will you come in to pick it up? My wife says, well, I'm planning on coming in to pick it up on Friday. She said, when you come in and pick it up, then we'll know what the price is going to be. Translation, Whitey was going to get charged a higher price than somebody else. Isn't that against the law? Now, this same tienda, once upon a time, number two son went into that tienda to buy an empanada. And there were a lot of empanadas there in the showcase. He said, I'll take that empanada. They said, I'm sorry, but they're not available. And my son said, what do you mean? He says, well, they're for other people. He said, what other people? And the guy behind the counter said, other people that aren't you. And just stopped talking to my son. Bottom line is, who's going to sell that to some white guy? That's for the Latino people who come in. Fuck you, Whitey. And my son left. Now, that should have been an indicator to me. I thought, that's just one bad experience by one against one guy one time. But then the wife got it too. That's what I'm talking about. Now, there was a talk show host, Onion Horton, who I listened to for years. He's passed away. He used to be on WGNU, the first radio station that I worked at. In fact, I used to follow him and Mark Kaysen on their evening show. And Onion Horton would defend black politicians who stole out of the public coffers. And what he would say is, look, the white ones have been doing it for years. Now it's our turn. And while I liked Onion Horton, I respected him, he was so far off base there. Now it's our turn? It's our turn to steal from the people because the white ones have been doing it for years? So I guess the people at the Mexican tienda thought, you know what? We weren't treated the way we should have when we came into this country. So fuck those white people. It's our turn to fuck them. Okay? Well, fuck you. We bought our carne asada from somebody else. Who won in that exchange? We had to go through far more hassle than we should have to get the meat for our party. And they lost out on a whole bunch of business, a whole bunch of money. Who won in that exchange? Think about it. And again, I'll go back to Dr. King when you talk about divisiveness. I have been told, and I have heard told, when I quote Dr. King, I'm told, how dare you quote Dr. King? You're white. What? Well, maybe it's because the guy was on the right path. The guy had good ideas. You don't have to be white to have good ideas, right? You can be, anybody can have good ideas. Equality for all is equality for all. It's not a my turn, your turn thing, okay? We are the most diverse society in the history of the world. We are the most prosperous society in the history of the world. I've already told you how the people who are not working get a check written to them by the government that puts them in the top 1% of all wage earners in the world. Is this a great country or what? Now, is it a coincidence that we're the most diverse society and the most prosperous society in the history of the world? Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. So if it's not a coincidence, and if our diversity is an important part of the equation to our success, why all the controversy? Is it because the Chinese and the Russians are pissing in the well? I think that has a lot to do with it. But here's the thing. If they piss in the well, it's their fault. But if we drink from the water of that well, it's our fault. You can go to a different well. Dear listeners, we are different. But let's consider our differences in a way to improve, not divide. Tell you another story. And again, this is firsthand information because it happens to me. How many times have you heard that white people are racist because they think all black people look alike, or they think all Asian people look alike? Okay, so we're racist. I can't tell you how many times I've had a black person come up to me almost always a stranger, just a stranger on the street who stops me on the street and says, very respectfully, by the way, "Excuse me, but are you Bill Gates? You look a lot like Bill Gates." And of course I laugh and I say no. I say, "Wow, man, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you just look so much like Bill Gates. I thought you might be him." Friends, I don't look anybody like Bill Gates, anything like Bill Gates. And I've asked a lot of people, let me rephrase that. I've asked a lot of white people, do I look like Bill Gates? They laugh at me and say no. But these black people think that I do. Now, do I think that they're racist? No. Again, this is the most part. And again, this has happened probably 7, 8, 9 times in my life. And it's almost always some stranger on the street. They're not racist. They really think, wow, this guy looks like Bill Gates. And if 9 or 10 of them in my lifetime have stopped me on the street and mentioned it, how many have just looked at me and not said anything and thought, wow, that guy looks like Bill Gates? It doesn't make them racist. It just makes them not as familiar with me, my color, because they spend more of their time with people of another color. That's all it means. That's all it means. Now let me go ahead and end this by bringing us back to the topic at hand. We live in the greatest country in the world. Okay? And again, if you're in Canada, same. If you're in Western Europe, same. If you're in any country that's a democracy, you're probably in the same boat. But definitely if you're in the United States, best country in the world. We have endless opportunities in this country, but they do take effort. And it's up to you how much effort you want to put forth. More effort means more success, but you can choose. You could choose to work 18 hours a day and make a ton of dough. Or you can choose to work 8 hours a day and make enough to live a real nice life. Your choice. 100% your choice. Life is good. But life is also hard. It's difficult. It really is. My suggestion, and it's one that I live by, take a breath from the rat race. Don't engage trolls. Discuss, because that's important, but don't argue. Respect one another, but don't prejudge or finger point. Something interesting has happened to me more than once during a discussion, and I'm not ashamed to mention it, and that is I've changed my mind. It's happened. Not very often, but it does happen occasionally. I tell you what has happened often is I've not changed my mind, but I've readjusted my view, okay, a little bit by considering something of others. Wow, I never considered that. Okay? Look at our successes. Look at your successes. Work towards improvement, okay? Take a breath. Drink a beer. Chill out. Life, dear listeners, is truly good. That's it. We're done. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. I enjoyed bringing it to you. JamesStrongShow@hotmail.com. That's the email address. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of these shows, send me your email address. I will go ahead and email to your account, to your email address, a link to each and every podcast. You get it in your email. You can download it and listen to it at your leisure. Or you can pick it up on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc., Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. Any place you get your podcasts, just search James Strong Show and you'll find it. That's it. I'm done. Have a good weekend, folks. Until next time, this is James Strong saying adios.